Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Joe LaRosa Show. And listen, I think I say this almost like every episode. I always say, hey, I'm so excited to have so-and-so here, on the show. But today, I always mean it when I say that, just FYI. But, I really mean it today. We actually have Mr. Brian Kirkwood here, the actual director of marketing at LaRosa Realty. Usually he's kind of like behind the scenes. He's kind of like, giving me orders, telling me all the things I have to do. But today, I have him right here next to me. And listen, we have him here for a reason. Not only is he just an amazing dude, he obviously has played such a huge role in the growth of our company. Besides being a marketing director, he's really also kind of been like an event director too. I mean, we just had our Legacy Summit this year, the biggest one yet. And this is the guy that orchestrates everything. So, Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. You had to twist my arm to get me here, but
I did. And listen, here's the reason why. Not only, dude, are you like just this awesome guy just to be around, but I think there's so much that people can learn from really what you have been able to do, over the last couple years, right? I know you've been doing it for some time, and you can obviously go into that story, but what you have been able to do, with Instagram and
Sure.
I really believe, obviously, look, if you, as in any business, in any profession, you got to find a way to be able to go out there and market yourself, brand yourself. And social media, obviously, whether you like it or not, you kind of have to go on social media. You're going to have to create that presence. Yep. And, dude, you kick some serious butt.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I told you unexpectedly. So, I didn't go out there, thinking, oh, this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to kill this. But for those who don't know, I have TikTok too. That's where I really started. Right. TikTok, Instagram, a little bit of YouTube too. But I started to post in the pandemic. I started to post when the parks, because I'm an annual pass holder. So when the parks here during the pandemic reopened, I started to cover it, and people went crazy for the content.
Right.
And there was very few people doing it.
Right.
So that gave me the advantage because the people. Travel was locked down, so there were people stuck at home, and so I started to cover the parks, and that's how it started there, but it quickly went beyond the parks very quickly. But so I post travel, food, anything that I'm kind of doing, and
so you're educating folks, hey, come check out this restaurant, come check out this special. Right. If you're going to go to Disney, if you're going to go to this park, do that.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff. And so that's how it built. And
so what's your biggest platform right now?
Well, TikTok's my biggest in terms of followers. So I'm at 140 something right now.
140,000.
140,000, yes. And then I guess it's important to put the 1,000.
Yeah, I mean 140 is all right. And then why is he on the show?
And then Instagram at 54. I think I just hit 54,000. Yeah, 1,000. So Instagram has blown up. It blew up last year. At the beginning of last year, I wasn't at 10,000 followers, but it blew up last year, and then it's continued to. This year, I had my first 2 at the same time, basically, 1 million viewed video. So the first quarter this year, I've reached, I think over 2 million people.
Wow.
2 million accounts.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me that's happening. That's wild.
So I mean, all right. So how did you go from, you said 10,000 at one point on Instagram last year,
right,
to now close to 50,000?
Yeah. So it's all about reels and doing the video, but I would say, and just like you talk about, and do it now, and any kind of coaching that you get, it's about consistency.
Right.
So if you're not putting in the time and the consistency with it, then it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Because there's sometimes when I'll post a video and it won't hit off in the first week, but maybe 2 weeks later it'll hit off. And so if you get yourself down in those first moments or those first few months of your posting or being consistent, you might not see results.
Right.
Even in real estate, right?
Yeah.
When you're a realtor, you might not see results in the first 3 to 6 months, and that's just the reality of it, right? But it's the consistency, and I think that no matter what you do in life, it's the consistency piece. You have to show up. If you don't show up, then it's nothing will happen. And they say a lot of people, when they quit, they're like at the brink of a breakthrough.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't keep going, you're never going to see it. So that's what I've done. I just like, now it's a little bit less with my posting. Like I'm not posting every single day, but there were times when I was like, okay, this is my calendar for the week. Like I have to post every single day. And so I would. Now, because of the level of followers, it's not as, it's still important, but it's not as important. Like I know that what I'm going to get, especially on Instagram, it's more consistent. I know what I'm going to get when I post.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what's the actual definition of being like an influencer? Do you have to have so many like followers and engagement?
I think that I think anyone can be an influencer. And, I know a lot of real estate agents watch this. Like real estate agents are influencers.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what I tell them too. When throughout the last 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, I've done some workshops with our agents.
Right.
Just growth challenges.
Yeah.
And I tell them, like, you guys are influencers. You guys should be like the mayor of the area that you serve.
Yeah.
You need to know what restaurant is opening. You need to know what park is in development, and you need to know everything about your community so that you can speak on it as an authority.
Yeah.
Even if you decide not to post, you're still an influencer because you're influencing someone who's coming from out of state or, someone who's moving to a new area. You are influencing. So we're all influencers too. Creators hate that term influencer because I think it's gotten a bad rap. But at the end of the day, everyone is an influencer. Because you telling somebody, that you like such and such brand of something, you're instantly an influencer.
Yeah.
Like we're all influencers to some level.
So we were kind of joking before the show that, I was like, hey, man, like, it's okay if I share this story. Because I remember I think it was during the pandemic. Where you and I were doing a lot of stuff, everything we were doing
from
was basically
home.
Virtually, right?
Yep.
So we would always connect on whether it's the show Dean and I were doing, Wind Down Wednesdays, whatever else. And so that was my first time of really kind of having to understand, like, the power of social media.
Right.
And so I go into, I think it was Instagram. And there's Brian. He's got like the camera set, his phone set up, and he's opening his fridge or freezer, pulling out a bag of peas, and he's cooking dinner. I'm like, what the hell is he posting? And you were doing it live.
Yep.
But that process, I mean, I don't know does that still work now? Because that helps you gain a bunch of followers, right?
Well, yeah. So it was probably TikTok because back in the day on TikTok, it used to be if you went live, it would help you in the algorithm.
Right.
It would help your video get pushed out more. And live at first it's kind of awkward, and because it's you've done lives before, and it's a little awkward sometimes, like what to do. So sometimes I would cook, and people would like that. And once we were back in the parks, going live in a park is like I actually did a live this weekend. I was at Magic Kingdom, and we were gonna go on the People Mover, which is a ride that's slow moving and there's lots to see. So I just pulled out my phone and went on to TikTok, and because I feel like lives, this is getting very technical, but I feel like lives on TikTok still are more organic than Instagram. Only your followers on Instagram can see you, but if you go live on TikTok and you get that ability, which I think you have to have 1,000 followers on TikTok to go live, but you have an organic reach.
Right.
Where Instagram, when you go live, you don't have as much of an organic reach. So I just popped up and did a live going on an attraction. But like, it should be something that I put into my content plan more, and it's something that I want to do in the future is doing more lives and more scheduled lives. But it's something I have to commit to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and agents can, real estate agents, anyone who's doing social media, who has an account, you should be doing lives because you don't have to edit it.
Right.
Like that live can live on and it can be content for you. So you come up with frequently asked questions, you pop on live, and then you answer those questions. And if you get viewers, great. You get viewers who maybe are interacting with you. But even if you don't get viewers, it's that, 15, 20 minutes, maybe even an hour of content that you didn't have before that you just did. And now you don't have to edit anything. You just go for it.
Right. So you said 15, 20 minutes to an hour. So, I mean, how long would you do these lives for?
Yeah, I would say about that. You don't want to do, like, for me, back in the day when I did lives, man, I could go for an hour more, 2 hours. Yeah. Depends on how many people were in the live. Because sometimes you feel like you don't want to talk to to no one, right? So,
Right.
you know, it's like, that's why if you're going to make live part of your content plan, you don't have a lot of followers, you need to have a plan. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. And this is what I'm going to say. On Instagram, it's great because you can set it to post it on your page so that it becomes something that people can go back to. And you could send the link out and say, hey, I answered your question in this video, you know, check out this video. And it just becomes a video.
So, like, I know you and I always joke about this because you always say that I'm a little bit too old when it comes to social media. Because you mentioned some of the platforms, like obviously TikTok, Instagram, a little bit of YouTube, but not much with Facebook, huh?
You know, I have colleagues that are creators and influencers that do use Facebook.
Yeah.
But I don't. I think for me, it's just too many platforms to manage. Yeah, so I personally don't, but I think that it is working for creators still, Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook groups I've kind of thought about it and tested it a little bit, but not really fully. But Facebook groups, you can grow your groups to be huge, and you can monetize a group, right? I've never done that, but you can monetize a group. And as a agent, if we're talking real estate, I mean, you create a group for the community that you serve, and you add value to that group, and you get other people to add value to that group. Facebook could be a great tool.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned the word monetize. So you've also now have gotten to the place where you've built up your platforms so much where people are actually reaching out to you now and saying, hey, you know, we want you to, they'll even like say, come up to this part of town outside of Florida, even come check out this restaurant or go on this cruise ship. So that's pretty cool. Tell everybody a little bit about how that has kind of transpired.
So I've monetized it a lot. A majority of my monetization. I'm not saying that right, but
it's close enough.
Close enough.
We know what you mean.
Is restaurants. So because a lot of my content is food content, they reach out and they say, "Hey, come feature my restaurant." So my rule of thumb for that is, and I've kind of established in the beginning, my content will always feature stuff that I pay for myself.
Right.
That is content where I'm hosted, where I don't get paid for it, but I get the meal comped, and then stuff that I get paid for. So I always try to have a mix of that stuff on my page so that it's not leaning too much one way or the other. But yes, so last year was the first year that I saw real results. And then this year I have already reached what I reached last year in the first quarter. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, but the restaurant or the brand will reach out, and then we will work on whatever the arrangements are. I always have a contract in place, and so it's been that part's been great. You know, there's the most rewarding has been restaurants, especially in the pandemic, where a video goes viral and then that restaurant has a line at the door, or the restaurant sells out of food the day after you post and they have to close the doors basically because the video went so viral. So that kind of stuff is super rewarding to be able to put that stuff out there and have a true like reaction and be able to get feedback from that restaurant and say, hey, you did this. And so that's especially during the pandemic when things were crazy with restaurants. I mean, that was really powerful. So,
all right. So with restaurants, though, right? I mean, what if you go to and tell me if this has ever happened to you? Like you go to a restaurant.
I already know this question.
Yeah, you go. You have like this is something that they're bragging. Oh, you gotta have this special. You gotta have, and then you taste it, and because I see your face at times. It's like, oh wow, this is really good. Right. You ever be like, wow, this is like really like tastes like shit.
So what I tell people is that I show stuff. I don't review food. I show
it. Okay.
Yes. So I show what you could get there.
Okay.
And so if I say, and it doesn't mean
sometimes you say, wow, this was like amazing. This was like the best thing I've ever had.
So if I say that, you should go and get that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that if I didn't say that I like that if I didn't mention that I liked it, doesn't mean that I don't like it.
Right.
But what I tell people is I'm not a food critic. I don't review. I don't check boxes or anything. But there's restaurants that are better than others. But at the end of the day, I'm showing you what you can get there. So it keeps it neutral. I'm not a food critic. But if it's good, I'll tell you it's good.
Yeah.
And if it's good, you should probably, if you're interested in that cuisine or whatever it is, you should go and try it out.
So obviously, so on the restaurant side, I get that. When it comes to stuff like, say, like the parks, you're trying to show people like how to experience the parks. Like, for example, the latest ride now at Magic Kingdom was Tron, right?
Right.
So you're kind of sharing that whole experience on how to.
I've shown that a little bit. I mean, it's hard with attractions like that where you can't like do ride through. I mean, you can, I guess, but I don't really have that equipment. But I just show people. I kind of give them the idea. I give them what my insights are.
Right.
Like for Guardians, which is the second most recent attraction, I had nausea on that the first time I rode it, and then I've learned how to ride it and not get nauseous. So I kind of give those insights. Some of that stuff happens more in my stories. If I don't feel like it's a video that would really do well, I just put it in my Instagram stories.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how I started. So, in the parks, I'm always kind of giving tips on, how to navigate the parks, or I'm giving a pulse on, like this weekend I was just in the parks 2 days in a row, which I hadn't been in the parks in forever. And it was dead. Like it was dead in in what we know is dead in terms of a low crowd. And so I like to give that pulse because a lot of my followers who are really dedicated are following me on Instagram and following my stories on Instagram. And so they're looking for that a little bit more. And so that I post more of that kind of, and that's what stories are for, kind of like the more nitty gritty. But one of the reasons why I blew up on Instagram was because I was doing secret spots at Walt Disney World. So I would show you places that the regular guests might not, kind of off the beaten path parks. And there's a few of those places. And so, I would feature those. And that's what kind of blew me up on Instagram.
So when you first started all this, you didn't think you'd be at where you are today?
No, I mean, I didn't come into it. If you're going to become a real estate agent, you're saying, all right, I'm going to change my career and I'm going to commit to getting my license and doing all this stuff. And I'm going to become a real estate agent. That's not how it was.
Yeah.
I think I got lucky. I believe that everyone has a certain amount of luck. And
a little bit of luck, but it's also hard work.
It's hard work.
And
it's hard work.
Consistent effort.
It's consistency and hard work, but there's always a little luck in everything.
Sure, of course.
And so I think the timing, it was a perfect storm of things, and it just happened. So, and then I took it once I saw, what it could be, then I, continued to grow it. And compared to last year, I'm doing, financially in terms of income from it is better than last year. So, I mean, that's always going to be a measure too of like, of course I want to continue to grow it. Yeah. So it's a helpful measure of the money side. Of course, it's nice, but it's also a measure of, okay, am I growing? Am I getting more opportunities? That kind of thing.
So where do you see this? And you can be, listen, don't worry about like, all right, well, Joe, I know technically, we work together, but at some point I know.
Well, at the end of the day, I think that I want to continue doing this and grow it. Yeah. Right. Do I want it to be full time? Yeah. I mean, it would be nice if you were to, if I was next month to have a contracts that allowed me to be full time. I mean, I couldn't just rely on 1 month of full time income to say, I'm leaving. But of course that would be nice. But I think also what I want is to consult and help other people grow. Yeah. I think, everything that I've done up to now, even outside of content creating, working for I worked for Disney for 7 years. I worked in a department where I got some PR training. So that, and then working at the Disney Institute, which gave me more kind of event experience. That's why, it set me up for success to help with legacy and what Legacy Summit has become here. All those things have helped me to where I'm professionally here. Right. And a lot of things have helped me professionally in terms of my content creation. So I think with all of that, I mean, it's building up to eventually I want to consult and help people grow. And
well, that's what we talked about. I was like, listen, Brian, like what you have been able to do. Like, there's so many people that you can basically kind of teach and kind of help, just elevate their whole entire brand. Maybe not to the same level where you're at, but, let's just talk about then, because you keep obviously referring back, knowing that a lot of our viewers are in the real estate space. So how can a realtor really take advantage of social media? Because you see some realtors just doing it the absolute wrong way. Right. So how would you recommend is the best way to go about it?
So the absolute wrong way, I'll define what the wrong way is for me first. And the wrong way is to go on MLS or take the pictures that you got from your photographer you're listing or your leader's listing or whoever and post just that. And nobody wants to come on to a social media page where it's just houses, like pictures of houses, maybe video of houses. We had Edward Lee on and last week, and he was talking about how he filmed new construction homes, and behind the scenes, I was looking at his content, and I was like, "Yep, this is what you should be doing." So you need to be posting whether it's new construction models, a home that you have permission to film in if it's not your listing. Because we might have a lot of people who are not listing agents yet listening. So, you have to be careful of that. I always ask permission, right? When you're dealing with somebody else's listing, like even if it's within the brokerage.
Yes, absolutely.
There's some agents, listing agents, who are like be so pissed if you went into their open house and started filming and then posted it without the permission, even though that's not the right mindset. But start posting that stuff. Post things about your community, right? So if you're in the Lake Nona community, you're posting about Lake Nona celebration, etc. Like you just gotta start posting. And I would say the number one thing is to get started. You're gonna hate yourself on camera, probably. You're gonna hate yourself. You're listening to your own voice. If you're doing voice, you're gonna hate all of that. But you need to get over it, and you just need to start. Because if I go back and look at what I did, when I first started video content creation back in 2020 in the pandemic, I go back and I watch those videos. I'm like, oh God, what I was thinking. Like my voice is so monotone, and like I had to like create an alternate version of myself and my voice when I'm doing my voiceovers, because you don't want to sound boring. Right. So you will find, you just got to get started, because then you'll find where you can improve here and there, and then you improve over time. But if you don't get started, then you're never going to get to that place. And you don't know where I know where it will take you, but you might not see where social media will take you, but it will take you to meeting new people that you've never met before, and I think that's happened to me. But even as a real estate agent, I've had real estate people coming to me saying, "Oh, do you know a realtor or whatever?" And I refer it out to Laverne or whoever, and I don't think anything's come of it, but it will happen for you. Like if you put in the time and you start doing it, like it's going to happen. And there's many examples of agents, like Tiffany does hers, and she gets leads from it all the time. Yeah. And she's just posting one video a week.
No, listen, yeah. I mean, I know some top producers that it's one of their key core ways of actually generating business, and it's they've set up a brand, of themselves, and they have a huge amount of followers, and they're also providing value. Yes. Right. That's, I think, the biggest, mistake a lot of people will make, is that they just put content out there without trying to understand
a picture of a house doesn't provide value.
Exactly. Yeah.
So whether you're talking about real estate and you're only honing in on real estate information, that's great. But if you want to become mayor of your town and be an authority in the area that you serve, you could do that too. There's different routes, and the mixture probably is best, because you don't want people to forget what you do.
Yeah. So one thing you have not said, and I was paying attention to this, is that you didn't tell everybody where they can actually find you. So, So you can search Brian Kirkwood, but
a lot of people think that actually Trex is my last name, but it's not. So, but it's at Brian Trex, BRIAN, and then TREKS, and you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube as well. But yeah, that's where you can find me, and start adding stuff to your favorites and where you're gonna go.
And listen, for all of those that are part of our La Rosa family, if you're out there watching, you kind of heard it today. You got to take advantage of this guy before he gets too famous, and he's out there now, is traveling the world. So take full advantage. He is an absolute brilliant guy when it comes to social media, and we want to be able to continue to be able to consult, educate our agents how they can really take advantage of what's out there so that they can grow their business. So, Brian, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. It wasn't that bad, see?
No, of course not.
Oh, man, all right.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, we love it. So, appreciate you guys that are watching once again. So, thank you so much, and we will see you next time here on the Joe La Rosa Show. Peace.